Hello and welcome back to another episode of Talking with F, where it's going to talk about a load of shit that's been going on in the UK and around the world. Anything from politics to comedy to business to money, just whatever. We have no agenda. So let's get on with it. Let's start. What are we going to talk about today? So I don't know if you guys saw the latest correspondence from Boris Johnson. So he came out with guidelines of what he's going to be doing in regards to opening up the UK, which made no sense at all. He was basically waffling. He reminded me of that guy from Little Britain, the one that goes, yeah, but no, yeah, but no, but no, yeah, but no, but no, no, but yeah, but no. Like he was basically saying shit and then contradicting himself straight away. Like he'd say, okay, you can go to work, but be careful and don't go if you can't make it. You can go outside, but stay inside, just to save people. Like he's saying one thing and then he's just saying exact opposite of that, which basically made me laugh. He wasn't clear at all. Like no one knew what he was chatting about. Yeah, the guy was just chatting complete and utter shit. To be honest, I don't think he knows what he's doing himself. Like, I don't think the government has any idea what they're doing themselves. Like, I don't think they know how to ease the UK out of this quarantine. Like, idealistically, there should be a concrete plan set out, and then the government should be like, okay, week one, we're gonna let people go outside and go to shops. Week two, if the deaths go down, we're gonna open up bars, and then week three, if they go down much further, we're gonna start opening up haircutting shops. But he had nothing to say like that. He just went around in circles, and it confused a lot of people. Like a lot of people were confused. Like they were like, "What the fuck? Like, what does he mean? What's he talking about?" But hopefully they can make the message much more clearer. One of the main things he said was that you can travel to work, but you shouldn't catch the train. You should go in your own car or you should walk it. Now, if someone's working and they work in a different city, it's gonna be kind of hard to walk it, isn't it? And a lot of people, you know, prefer not to take the car because it's expensive, so they take public transport for a reason. It could be money wise, or it could be easement wise as well, or they just don't have a car, or they don't have a mode of transport, so they have to take a train. But Boris Johnson was like, no, try not to take public transport. I don't think he banned public transport. He said don't take it, but I believe you still can. You can still catch a train, but I'd recommend you don't as well. Which reminds me of a story that happened quite a few years ago to myself, and it was back in the uni days. So I used to catch a train to uni, from home and uni back. It was a 20-minute train. It was a quick train there and back, and there used to be one platform 16, and on that platform, one of those platforms where trains go both ways, so one can go towards your home and one can go the exact opposite way. And so there used to be when the train used to come, there used to be two trains that were quite close to each other. One used to go home, and the other one would go the complete opposite way. So I remember, getting to the train station and I seen the train and I thought, oh my god, it's here early. And I'll get to sit down, I'll get to find a seat. That was another thing, like when I used to catch a train, because it'd be like at 4 or 5 o'clock, they'd be packed the hell out. Like you wouldn't have a single seat to sit down on. You'd be standing there all the time, all the way through until you go home. So to find a seat was like a really, really good find. Like it was one of the best things that could happen to you. But so I seen the trains parked up, and I'm like, oh yes, it's there. So I power walk all the way to the platform. The train doors are open. I sit down, make myself comfortable, put my earphones in, put my music in, and I'm like, yo, I just found the best spot on the train. I'm chilling. I'm nice and comfortable. It's nice and warm. I'm gonna go home, chill, get something to eat, and I'll be all calm. I'll be all good. Next thing you know, the train starts moving, but it doesn't start moving in the direction of my home. It starts moving in the opposite direction, which basically got me worried. I was like, what the fuck? Where's this train going? So I get up and look, and they have those signs on the train where they tell you where they're heading to, and it was heading in the exact same opposite direction. and I just started panicking a bit. I was like, oh fuck, what am I gonna do? Because I had one of those trains that was restricted to certain areas, and so the train guy comes over. The train guy comes over, the park, not the parking, sorry, the train ticket person who check your train tickets, to make sure you've got a ticket. And he looks at my ticket and he's like, you do know you have to get off at the next stop. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I'm going that way, it's perfectly fine. And next thing you know, my phone dies. And I'm like, fuck's sake, can it get any more worse? So the next stop was like, is one of those stations, like, one of those stations in like those small towns that they don't even have a shelter. They just have like a little bench outside, and you just sit in them. You're sitting outside and waiting for the train. Like one of those shitty little ones. So the train stops, and I get out and I go to the bench, and I look at the timings, and the next train is gonna be in 2 hours. The one that I need to catch to go towards basically home. And I'm there, and I'm like, oh fuck's sake, what am I gonna do? So my mobile phone was basically dead. It wasn't working, and the place I was at, I had no idea where anything was, and I thought, how can I get home? So I started walking around, and it was one of those dead ass places. Like, the train station is in some dead ass places, nothing nearby. There wasn't even any cars nearby. It was just like a single road outside, and every so often a car would go down. And I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna have to wait for the next train. So I'm sat there, and that day, for some dumbass reason, I just wore like a t-shirt. I wore my jeans, I wore a t-shirt. I didn't wear no jacket or anything, no hoodie, no coat, nothing at all. And it starts raining, and I'm like, fuck's sake, how worse can it get? And then I literally sat there for 2 hours, and I waited for the train to basically come. And then it came after 2 hours. I sat on it, went all the way home, and when I got home, you know, I was like, thank fuck for that. And since that day, I've always I've always made sure my battery's 100%. That's number one. And number two is I've always left the house with a jacket, because you never know. It could be sunny as fuck outside, like it could be the hottest day ever, but who knows at night time if it's going to start raining or if it's going to get colder. So I'll always take a jacket just in case I need it. And it's just one of those personal stories that happened to me. And I believe that kind of shit happens to everyone. Like, you do have fucked up situations that you get put into, which basically make you think about your future in regards to how you're going to improve your journey. Nothing too deep. I wasn't going to say, oh, it makes you think about your future and how you're going to live and what you're going to do. No, nothing like that. Just like makes you think about your future public transport travel future. Like, make sure your battery's on point, and make sure you have like a coat or like a jacket to make sure you don't get stranded in the middle of nowhere and you have to wait for something in the cold. That's just one of the train ones that I had. A good thing that's come out recently as well. I was reading a news article. It's the antibody test. Now I know the UK bought like 17 million tests from China or some place. They bought antibody tests. Basically, what antibody tests is, just a little bit of background so you understand what it is it's a test that you can carry out, which will tell you if you've developed the antibodies for coronavirus. Now, what antibodies are? They're basically immunity, what your body develops from the corona. So if you have them, it basically means that you've caught corona before, and you've improved, you've recovered from it, you've developed like an antibody, so you can survive off you basically survive the whole corona, the corona infection. And it's a really good way because, number one, you can tell if you had corona and you recovered from it, and number two, it kind of takes your mind off it a little bit as well, like knowing that you've had it before and you're fully recovered from it. Like it doesn't scare you as much. It can make you like a little bit more, it can make you not stress as much. That's what I like to say, not make you stress out as much about the whole corona, because you know how the news is. They're always chatting shit about, it's always going to be, there's this many deaths and this many people are dying and such. But yeah, so like the 16 million tests that they bought, they all turned out to be inaccurate. The government came back and were like, we can't roll these out to the public because we don't know if they're going to be accurate or not. So we don't want someone doing a test finding out, giving inaccurate results by saying that, they've got antibodies to the coronavirus, and then it just comes out that they don't have antibodies to it. They go out and they catch an infection, and unfortunately, say, in the worst case scenario, they die from it, it'd be a really fucked up thing. So they didn't really give the tests out to the public, to the UK public. They were like, we can't do that. But most recently, I was reading an article and they were like, they've got some new antibody tests that they're testing on right now to just to make sure they're accurate, and so far they're 100% accurate. So it'd be a good thing if, like, they can do more tests on them, make sure they're 100% accurate, and then start rolling them out to the wider public. I mean, if I could buy one, I'd go ahead and buy one, for me and my family, just to make sure that, you know, if we have caught it, we've recovered from it. I think it'd be a really good thing. So that was one of the positives that have come out from this whole moving ahead with Corona, and like what are going to be the next steps as well. But slowly, businesses have started to open, and entertainment started to come back on as well. By that I mean the UFC returned as well, which was quite good, to be honest. Like the card that they had for the UFC, I've got to give my hats off to Dana White. Like he really made a good fight card. Like he had a lot of good fights on there. But the main one that stuck out for me was the main card, which was basically Justin against Tony Ferguson. And it was a 5-round fight where Justin won by TKO, technical knockout, over Tony Ferguson. But god damn, Tony Ferguson is a tough guy. Like, I don't know if you've seen the fight. The highlights are on YouTube, so if you do want to watch it, go on YouTube, type in, Justin against Tony, UFC, and the fight should come up. It should fully be uploaded on YouTube. But like Justin, like Justin's known as like a stand-up fighter, so he doesn't take anything to the ground. He doesn't wrestle. He goes straight for the punching, the strikes, the elbows, the knees, the legs. Like he's a standing-up fighter. And Tony Ferguson's one of those guys who never backs out. So they both stood up and they just like punched each other's faces off. But like Tony received most of the punches. Like he was getting some haymakers thrown at him, and the fact that he just stood up to nearly all of them, like he took them all on the chin. Like his face was fucked up, and I think mid fifth round the referee stopped the fight because he was getting fucked up too much. But god damn, like that's some mad shit. Like the amount of punches he took, it's crazy. You gotta give it to him. Like it's a tough spot to be in, and for them to entertain the whole world basically, because all sports have been, and entertainment wise, have all been cut off since Corona, and this is one of the first things that have come back. So it was a really good watch. One of the weird things was that they did it in like a empty stadium, so you could clearly hear the punches. Like when they were punching each other, you could hear that skin to skin like sound like popping off in the stadium. Like you could hear every single little thing, those kicks, those punches, those groans, whatever was coming their way, you could exactly hear it. It's not a bad thing. Like it's unusual, but me personally, I prefer to be a crowd, because whenever someone throws a haymaker, or whenever someone gets some other opponent in a submission, or there's a knockout or whatever, the crowd cheers, and there's it gives to the whole environment. But I think we're still some time off, well, some time away from when they're gonna start letting people get into like big ass crowds of thousands of people to like attend UFC events and everything. But in my honest opinion, they should do that with football as well now, like the Premier League, Champions League. Like they need to put those back on. They've been off for such a long time, and we need a little bit of football. We need our teams to represent, give us some entertainment. And I mean, they could take the same approach as the UFC by playing matches indoor, and live broadcasting it on TV so everybody could see, and playing their matches like that. One team that I do feel sorry for is Liverpool. Like I don't know if anybody supports them or if you watch football or whatever, but if you do watch football, you do know that their Premier League season was like off the charts. Like they won every single game. Like they were winning every single game, and they pretty much were in line to be the next Premier League champions, which they haven't held that title for a long time. And everything was going their way. Along comes Corona, fucks up the whole thing. They get put on break. Football's called off for a period, and now what they're saying is that basically, I was thinking they're giving two options. One of the options was that they'll just give the Premier League titles to Liverpool because they won nearly all of their matches, or they might just call the Premier League off and make the whole season start again. which would be quite unfair to Liverpool, to be honest. Like, if anybody, I think they deserve that Premier League title. And to be honest, they could still play matches. All they have to do is just have an empty field. All you need is a players, a referee. Everyone gets tested for corona. If everyone's in the clear, you play, record it. Live broadcast on TV. I'm sure because it's football's been off for such a long time, it'll get like millions or millions of people signing in to watch it as well. Because people are fed up. Everyone wants some form of entertainment. You get tired of watching the same things over on TV. Movies, TV series. Like there's only a certain limit you can watch those. You want some other form of entertainment. I think it's come to that point where people are wanting their sports back. Like, be it UFC, be it boxing, be it football, cricket, tennis, whatever. Like, people have got to that point where they're like, we need to start getting these things back so we can have some form of entertainment. And another thing that I've recently looking into as well was it popped up as on one of my YouTube recommendations, and I don't know if many people have seen it. Avatar: The Last Airbender, sorry. It was like an anime that was made, like a really really popular anime. Like, I know a lot of people I think have seen it, and what they're gonna do is they're gonna try to make a live adaptation of that on Netflix. So they're gonna try to make a TV series, I believe. Um, which, to be honest, like, anytime that happens, anytime they develop like a cartoon or anime to like a live TV series or like a movie, it always gets fucked up. I don't think there's ever been one where it's gone really really well, and it's basically pulled it off and made it just as or even better than the cartoon they've adapted it from, or the anime they've adapted it from. One example that it gives me is like Dragon Ball Z. So Dragon Ball Z is like a really really popular cartoon. Not just, well, it was developed in Japan, but it's not just popular in Japan. It's like popular all worldwide. Like, people, Goku. People know who Goku is. Like Gohan, Trunks, Vegeta, Piccolo. It was like a really really good anime that I used to watch it. I used to be obsessed with it back in the days. Like, when I was younger, I used to watch it every single time. Come home from school, put the TV on, and it'd be on the time slot. Watch the full episode. I used to love it. And so what they did, they made a movie, like a live adaptation movie of it. Dragon Ball something, Dragon Ball Kai or whatever. It was something like that. And it was absolutely shit. Like, believe me, like, it didn't even stick to the original storyline. They amended the storyline, and they just, I don't even want to talk about it. They made it so 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 bad that, that's why I think, like, when these big movie studios come around and they're like, okay, yeah, we've seen this cartoon or we've seen this anime and we want to make it into a movie or we want to make it into a TV series, there's always some kind of hesitation. Like, you don't want them to destroy the original material that they had. But hopefully, if I believe it's Netflix that are going to be making the live series of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So if anybody could pull it off, it'd probably be them. They're a streaming service. They've got millions on millions of pounds behind them. They can put a lot of money into developing like these TV series. And if anybody could pull it off, they could do. Like, they've got the show Teen Titans on there as well, which was another cartoon that it was a comic book which was made into a cartoon, then was made into a live TV series. And to be honest, it was really good on Netflix. Like, I believe they have 2 seasons. I watched them some time ago, but they were really really good watch. So if anybody, I believe they could pull it off. But yeah, and nowadays movies, like most movies nowadays, are like, even TV series, they're mostly to do with like superheroes, like all these Avengers and DC Comics, and they've got all these Superman movies, the Justice League. Although we all know that Avengers and Iron Man and such, the Guardians of the Galaxy, they performed and rated much much more better than the Justice League movies and Superman movies as well. But it's always got me thinking, like, like, one of my favorite characters is Iron Man. And the main reason it is because he's a billionaire, he's like a normal guy, and he makes like, well, it's a genius, and he makes like a suit made out of fully technology out suit which can make him fly, and he has all these like little gadgets on and everything. And I was watching a clip recently where this guy made like an Iron Man arm. So he made Iron Man's arm, and then basically press a button and it'd light up as well, and it looked really really cool. And it got me thinking, like, who's to say, like, in the future, in the next 15, 20, 25, 30 years, that you know they might not start developing those kind of suits, like they might not start making those kind of suits, where you can basically, they're made to fit, you jump in them, they allow you to fly, they do all this kind of cool shit. I think that'd be quite cool. Like, can you imagine that? It'd be proper good, like, if you really give it a thought. But that's me just daydreaming about what potentially could happen in 20-25 years. But that's it, guys. That's the end of the podcast. It's been nice talking to you all. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, which is at Talking with F. Just type in Talking with F. You can also listen to this podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just type in the search bar Talking with F and listen. Have a listen. If you like it, subscribe, and rate my episodes as well. And I'll catch you guys next week. All right, see you later. Take care.